we're out of the snow and into the humidity this week as we spend a few days in Savannah, Georgia. While this trip is more about getting away and relaxing, we take a few days to explore the city. Candace and I go on a cruise down the Savannah River and learn about the city's past, present, and future. We spend a few hours on Tybee Island, visiting the beach and checking out a colonial lighthouse. Then we go on a ghost tour of the Sorrel Weed House, which is one of the most haunted homes in Savannah. On our last day, we visit the Bonaventure Cemetery and take Riley on a walk through the sprawling 160 acres. We hope you enjoy this week's video in Savannah, Georgia. Welcome to Savannah. We are in the very famous Forsyth Park, enjoying the local greenery with about a couple hundred people. Not as busy as I was expecting it to be. This is a pretty central park. This is like a mile from the Airbnb that we're staying at, and then it's another mile to the River Street of Savannah, which is what most people know about it.
So the fountain was built in 1858 or 1838, I cannot remember anymore. One of those 2 years, and it was actually modeled after some famous fountains in Paris.
Oui, oui.
Oui, oui. So yeah, I think we're gonna head over to the fountain, where all the people are congregated, and see what it looks like.
Let's do it to it. Well, we saw the fountain. Riley is down there between us as usual.
I'm not sure what else we're going to get into today. I'm very hungry, so I think we might go pick up some food, maybe head back to the Airbnb. So I'm not sure if we'll be out and about again today or not, but we'll see you tomorrow, I guess, for some more exploring.
This is kind of a different trip for us. We don't have everything planned out to the minute like we usually do. We're just kind of wandering around and exploring, and which should be nice. Very easygoing and peaceful, despite the thousands of lawnmowers around us right now.
We're trying to find somewhere to speak to escape the lawnmowers, and they were just like following us wherever we walked. So if you can't hear us right now, that'd be why.
Put some subtitles right here in my hand. All right, so we'll see ya. So here's a funny story. When we boarded the cruise, there was an absolute downpour, so we didn't get any footage of the outside. But this is what our ship looked like. We opted for the Lunch and History cruise, so before we departed, we had an incredible buffet of traditional Southern American food, including fried chicken, mac and cheese, and shrimp and grits. There was also banana pudding and peach cobbler for dessert. We cruised up and down the river for 90 minutes as the tour guide told us about the history of the city, the building of the famous bridge into Savannah, and about all the trade goods that are still brought into this very busy port. We also got a chance to float by the old Fort Jackson, where they played a little practical joke on us.
Ladies and gentlemen, they're actually going to try to do, well, they're going to try to sink us. They're going to try to sink us with a live cannon firing. If you have any kids with you, please warn them, cover their ears.
And let's just fast forward a little bit here. We had a great time on this cruise and recommend it to anyone who's interested in history and great food. So we have ventured about half an hour from Savannah to Tybee Island here in Georgia. So this is the Tybee Island Lighthouse, not the outhouse. It is 144 feet tall. There is a giant line of people to get inside, and you have to pay $12 to go past that fence.
So we're standing on the other side of the
Yeah,
fence.
because we're travelers on a budget, and I can see it pretty darn good from right here.
No, I do think you can actually go up it if you pay the $12 because we see people way up there. But
Yeah, so if you can't, they should probably get down. But it is pretty incredible looking, and I'm sure once you're at the top of it, you can see for quite a ways. It has been super hot here in Georgia today. It's a high of like 68, 69, so that
Very
is
nice.
much nicer. I
have
woke
a
up.
cardigan on.
Yeah, I got my long sleeve on. I let Riley out this morning, and it was like 55, and I kind of got the shivers, so we're pretty excited about that. We were going to spend a few hours over here on Tybee Island, just kind of explore, maybe get a bite to eat. I plan on getting some seafood. Candace will probably get either pasta or a salad, maybe fish and chips. You looked at a restaurant
I
that
do
had
like
that.
fish and chips, yeah.
And then on the way back to Savannah, we're going to stop at a really cool cemetery that we'll talk about more. And then tonight, what do we got booked?
Ghost tour.
Yeah, I don't know.
Specifically of one of like the most haunted houses in America, apparently.
Yeah, and should be pretty exciting. We've done a few ghost tours in Charleston, and we looked at doing one where you like walk around and listen to ghost stories, but this one is specifically in like the most haunted house. So I know you can take pictures, so I imagine you can do some filming as well. So hopefully we get some ghosts, and if not, that's what Photoshop is for.
So we were going to go check out the cemetery, but turns out it closes at 5 p.m. and it was going to be about 5 p.m. as soon as we got there. So we might try to check that one out tomorrow. We're actually leaving tomorrow, sadly, but we might try to check it out before we head out of town because it's only a few miles from where we're staying. But right now we have parked in downtown Savannah, which is where our ghost tour is later. So I think we're just going to walk around, do a little exploring here, might check out some shops. There's a very big Catholic church we might go to.
There's a very large cathedral
Cathedral.
that we might go to.
Not a church.
I mean, it's a church, but it's a cathedral. John the Baptist, if I'm not mistaken. Which sometimes I am, but not usually.
But it should be really pretty. It's rated as like one of the top 10 things to do in downtown Savannah. And I think we're also going to check out the house we're actually doing the ghost tour in tonight to get some shots of the outside because it'll be dark when we get there for the tour.
B-roll, if you will. Yeah, we're just gonna wander around and explore, maybe get a cup of coffee.
See what we see.
That's my line. In the midst of Savannah, Georgia, sits a house with a pretty disturbing past, the Sorrel Weed House. Built in 1840 and sitting at over 16,000 square feet, it's one of the largest homes in the city. And fun facts, the opening scene of Forrest Gump was filmed from the rooftop, and the movie The Midnight Garden of Good and Evil was also filmed here. But why is it that it's said to be one of the most haunted homes in America?
Well, it all starts with a man named Francis Sorrel. He had this beautiful Greek revival home built and moved in with his wife Matilda. They lived here for many seemingly happy years, hosting lavish parties and flaunting their wealth until one fateful night when Matilda went looking for one of their slaves, Molly, and found her in the carriage house and in bed with her husband Francis. Unfortunately, it wasn't uncommon for a slave owner to take advantage of one of his slaves at this time, and being Molly was a piece of property to this man, this couldn't have been a consensual relationship. While there are many different versions of what happened this night, it is said that after Matilda saw this, she ran into the main house, up to the second story, and threw herself out of a window to her death. Others think maybe Francis had something to do with her untimely demise. After all, if word got out he was with a black woman at that time, he would have been an outcast in his community, and he couldn't have that ruin his reputation. Even more unfortunately, a few weeks later, Molly was found hanging from a noose in her bedroom. Was this her doing, or perhaps another murder? We'll never know, and while we didn't see any ghost here, we definitely felt some very weird vibes and could sense the horrors that happened in this place a long time ago. Good afternoon. It is our last day in Savannah, sadly, and we are currently at the Bonaventure, I believe is how you say it, cemetery. We tried to come here last night, but it was already closed. Apparently it closes at 5 p.m. So we're here now doing a bit of exploring before we leave. Currently, we are standing in front of the first, I guess, family plot. The first ones who were buried here.
Yeah, so the family name is Tatinal. I'm very sorry if I'm butchering that, I probably am. And the very first person buried here was in 1802. The Bonaventure Cemetery is giant. It is 160 acres, and it is one of the 4 or 5 cemeteries that Savannah takes care of and is owned by the city. So, yeah, we're just going to wander around, see the highlights and the lowlights, and do some exploring. Bonaventure Cemetery is a rural cemetery located on a scenic bluff of the Wilmington River east of Savannah. The cemetery's prominence grew when it was featured in the 1994 novel The Midnight Garden of Good and Evil. It's located on the former site of the Bonaventure Plantation, and the Tatinal plot mentioned earlier was the small family cemetery that existed for the plantation. All of the other graves branched out from this location, all 147,000 graves that make up this cemetery. So, if you're not sure the difference between a cemetery and a graveyard is attached to a church, and a cemetery is just a plot of land. And the way to remember that best is a graveyard is like the backyard for a church. So if there's a church in the premises, it's a graveyard. If there's no church, it's just a cemetery.
Visitors are able to take tours of the cemetery to learn more about its past and to learn about some of the incredible symbolism used on the grave sites. For example, if there's a statue of a tree stump nearby a grave, it means that that person's life was cut short tragically. We definitely recommend checking this place out next time you're in Savannah, and as always, we'll see y'all somewhere.
We just got here a little bit ago. It is, what is it, Saturday? Doesn't matter what day it is.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Alright.
Let's not say we just got here, let's just say welcome to Savannah.
Right. Welcome to Savannah. I was saying, go ahead, you can start.
I thought you were trying to
No.
do something. So we were going to go check.
You want to start talking? And then you talk about the cemetery, I'll talk about the graves?
What's it called?
I would say Bonaparte.
Or Bonaventure.
Bonaventure, that's it. So, if there's a church on the premises, it's a cemetery. So if there's a church on the premises, it's a graveyard. If there's no... Thanks for watching Riley Roams. Please subscribe to our channel to keep up with all of our travels. Don't forget to hit that like button and leave us a comment below about your favorite part of this video.